So when we're talking like financial freedom, after failure, what step do you take once you know that it's not going to be perfect?
Well, I think financial freedom is an aspiration. And so when you're aspirational, you have to think about vision and how you're going to achieve that vision, which is a little different than goals. You're talking about mapping your financial freedom, right?
Yeah.
So the map I use is strategic planning.
Okay.
In any task. And it starts with a challenge question. In this case, like, how do I achieve financial freedom? And so I think of a strategic plan as the vision is a castle on the hill. I'm down here.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of alligators between here and there.
Yep.
And so I got to figure out what the alligators look like so I can get to the castle. Yep. That's the map, right? Yep. So if you take financial freedom, say, okay, well, the challenge of a strategic plan would be, how do I leverage my current job and situation to achieve financial freedom? So that's the challenge question.
Yeah.
Then the next thing is, well, what would it look like if I achieve financial freedom? Like, you actually have to think about what does financial freedom, it might mean something different for you than it means for me. And I oftentimes do it with stickies on the wall, right?
Yeah.
And you say, okay, I own my house, I own my car, I have no debt, I have no credit card debt, I own a business, whatever it may be, and it's different for different people. And then you kind of clump those things into 3 or 4 different categories, and you basically have drawn the castle. So what would it look like if I achieved it, right? So if I'm successful with the challenge of financial freedom, what would it look like? I own my house, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm making this much money, I've saved this much, whatever it may be. That's the vision, not necessarily the goal, right? And a lot of people, they just set goals, which is fine, but goals to me are interim benchmarks to see how close I am to the castle. So number 1 is the castle, and then number 2 is like, well, how do I SWOT strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats vis-a-vis my vision? And you got to be really honest. My strengths, I have a really good job, I have really good revenue, I have really good income. Weakness, I'm a horrible, impulsive shopper. Strengths and weaknesses tend to be within yourself, and opportunities and threats are outside yourself. They're in the environment. So opportunities might be, hey, there's really great software these days on telephones to track your expenses or whatever, maybe technology is a tool. Threat may be commercialization. Everybody wants my money, right? So the idea is that you have to take an honest inventory of where you stand vis-a-vis that vision. And then the next step is, how do I take my strengths and the opportunities in the environment to overcome my weaknesses and the threats? Those are the alligators. They're obstacles.
Yeah.
Right. So we gotta engineer. We gotta go over the alligators, around the alligators, under the alligators, whatever it may be. But you can't figure that out until you can identify the alligators. And then once you've done that, you'll come up with 3, 4 major paths. Called strategies. Most people think strategies are individual things you're going to do. They're actually big streams of thought. In this example, might be, I'm going to find ways to maximize my income. I'm going to find ways to maximize my savings.
Yeah.
I'm going to become an investor. I'm going to educate myself on how everybody's trying to pick my pocket. So those are my 4 strategies. The bricks in the road, so those are roads.
Yeah.
Up to the castle. It's one big road with 4 strategies. Now, what am I going to do by when? Those are the tactics. And then you have to say a specific thing by a specific date to create accountability.
How important is that?
It's huge. Right? Because most, and I can, in my own life, it's like even my own to-do list. I've had to-do lists that sit there for 4, 5, 6 weeks. The minute I say to myself, by September 10th, I get it done by September 8th. Back to my pal or whatever, the fitness thing, right? It's like, if I have 1,600 calories, I'm going to do it in 1,500 calories or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's really important. But the idea is, now you have tactics. Says, okay, I'm going to take an investing class by January 1, 2022. I'm going to learn about the difference between putting money in the bank and the stock market by this date. I'm going to learn about home ownership. Whatever the tactics are that are consistent with that strategy, right? Like, one is to learn how to invest. So what are the different bricks you could put in the road to learn how to invest? What are the different things you could do to learn how to save? What are the different things you could learn how to, say you've decided you wanted to be in real estate or whatever. Those are the to-do list. And then when you do that, it's pretty remarkable how quickly you're moving up the mountain. And then what you realize is you got to the castle and you don't stop. You go, oh my gosh, there's another castle above this one. I couldn't see it. And then that becomes your next strategic plan. So when you talk about mapping, I talk about strategic plans. People look at what they determine to be successful people with envy.
Yeah.
You think, wow, they're so fortunate. They're not fortunate, they were mindful. They put together a plan, they put together a strategic plan. They were mindful about where they were and where they wanted to get. And then some of the other things they took, and they were willing to take the risk, calculate the risk. They were willing to fail.